when they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening to 105.3 FM out of Mississippi and 107.7 out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana, to UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network, and this is the thing at the foot of the bed. I'm one of your co-hosts. I'm going to hand it over to my amazing co-host, Dave, in just a sec, but I'll get all the housekeeping things out of the way. I'm one of the hosts here, Lorilei Potvin. I also have my own show here on Mondays on UPRN with the Angel Rock, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm a Canadian psychic medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher, and mentor. I'm a registered nurse. I'm also well-versed in the paranormal. We shared our story on the Travel Channel's Paranormal Survivor, Season 4, Episode 9. I'm a budding animal communicator and very well versed, like I said, besides the paranormal, but also near-death experiences, having had one as a toddler and studied them professionally and personally for over 40 years. So if you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe. There's something for everybody on this network. I was just talking to another one of our hosts, who I'll mention in a minute, and she was sharing with me, I believe, our owner of the network, Joe Montaldo, giving him a shout out. He runs the network for us out of his home, that we're up to 40 different shows on this network. So obviously we stream multiple shows live daily. And when we're not streaming live, the archive server digs back into the 25 plus years this network's been on air and randomly play shows. So we're always live, and we go to every country in the world, believe it or not. But 80% of our audience is audio only. So if you want to join in the conversation, like we've got Diane, let me see, Diane Brighton. Sorry, Diane, my brain went blank. We've got Julie Jean Bass. Oh God, everybody's here. I'm going to wait to after. Everybody's here. Hi, we see you. We'll shout you out. What you have to do, there's a few places you can head over so we can see your comments. So you can go to UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Facebook and YouTube page. You can go to my co-host David's YouTube channel, which is The Spirit Experience, and it is on his Facebook page, which is They Whispered to Me. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but I think I remember that. I'm also streaming on my Facebook profile, which is public, which is Lorilei Potvin. Instagram, we're streaming to under the Angel Rock. So the only thing is the chat doesn't come through from Instagram over with the other platforms. So I will pop over back and forth and try to remember to shout you guys out, because I don't want you to think we ignore you, because both the Angel Rock and this show, it's very audience participative. Without all of you, there would just be me and Dave having awesome conversations, which we do, but we love what y'all add to the conversations. Also, we have our own TV channel. It's over on Roku. You're going to go to the channel store, type in UFO space P as in paranormal, and you're looking for the drop-down list. There's about 3 or 4, I think we're the 3rd or 4th one down. So you're looking for UFO space paranormal and United Public Radio, and many of the shows are streaming over there, so you can watch it on your TV. I believe it's through your Fire Stick, and there's other ways you can do it as well. Also, I think I remembered everything. Let me see. I think I did. But I do like to add this in. So come hang out with us here in Thunder Bay, Northwestern Ontario, Canada. That's where I live. I'm not putting this on, but it's being put on by Lucky Paranormal. It's this October 4th to 6th in 2024 for the Lake Superior Paranormal Convention. Tickets are available now. There's VIP Plus, Supernatural, and the VIP Pass tickets, but they are limited. And as I understand it, they are more than half sold out. Lucky Paranormal, who's putting this on, wife and wife team, Mel and Gal Willis, they are traveling over in the UK right now. You would wouldn't believe some of the things they are documenting over there. They're staying in some of the haunted castles and stuff. So you may want to check out Lucky Paranormal on Facebook. They've been documenting it. But there's going to be some talks, workshops, a paranormal investigation, and vendors. Guest speakers will include Shane Pittman, Jeff Belanger, our own Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. That's who I was talking to as somebody goes by with a super loud motorcycle. Sorry about that. UPRN here. She is the host of Spirit Switchboard on Fridays from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. She's an incredible paranormal investigator, medium, psychic, and she's just amazing. And I finally get to meet her in person. And she's going to be doing a special event on the Sunday of that weekend. It's called Spirits and Sweets. So she's going to be giving messages from spirits while the people that attend the event get to enjoy some delicious sweets and desserts. There's also going to be the Travel Channel's Beyond the Haunting. Chris Rutkowski, he mainly talks about UFOs and Bigfoot, and there's quite a few people that look into those arenas that are aware of him. Dee McCauley from Dark History. He is local here. He's also shared his story on the Travel Channel and has Thunderstriker Films. He's documented some of the strange and unusual phenomena around Thunder Bay here. We've also got, who else? The Winnipeg Paranormal Group and myself. I'm going to be doing a talk as well. And I'm going to have a table there with merchandise too. So if you want more information, please check out LakeSuperiorParacon.com for tickets. All right, everybody. I think that's everything finally. Dave, go ahead.
That's okay. I won't be there with Lorilei, but I will be there in spirit.
Well, I don't know because I'm waiting to come back just to add, because I asked them if they might consider streaming it online because we have such a global audience. Yeah. There's so many people asking, like, how can I watch it? How can I see it? So
I think that'd be fun. Mm-hmm. And in honor of everybody of calling it, we're called the Footies. I am wearing my footies.
Are you? I have bare
footies. I'm wearing my. I love footies. That's all I'm addicted to them. When I was, there's some nerve damage or something happened to my feet when I was in the hospital. So my feet are always cold. It can be 95 degrees outside and my feet are cold. I have to wear socks, you know. So, but I love my footies and I buy tons of little fuzzy footies. But anyway, my name is David Hanzel. I am a spiritual medium, channel, communicator, spiritual advisor, spiritual counselor, so on and so forth. A lot of the same things that Lorilei does. We kind of share in the stuff that we do. She does a few other things that I don't, and vice versa. Other than that, it's about the same. Want to welcome everybody for showing up.
Don't forget to tell them about our group.
Oh yeah, by the way, in our group where we have the word footies that come from. If you go to Facebook, you can look up the thing at the foot of the bed and you can join that group. In that group, we post a lot of the videos and stuff that we show here that the listeners can't see because, you know, obviously they're listening. And but you can see them in the group, and you can also post your scary stories, scary pictures, or they don't have to be scary. They can just be, you know, nice paranormal
or questions or show ideas.
Yeah, anything you want to put, just go ahead and feel free to put it in there. Nicole had asked me about the storms. Nicole is also in the same state that I am in, and we had just like it's been happening. I mean, all over the country, we've been having storms everywhere. You've been having them in Canada as well, correct?
No, not like that. We did have snow, which is unheard of for one day. But no, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt right now, and we don't usually get weather like that, though.
Yeah, like, here it's swept through. When they my yard got a bit of damage to it. I'm fine though, compared to other people. Mine's nothing, and I have nothing to whine about. Except for I just bought this.
I know, but the way your tree split, I was gonna mention Josh Foreman from Paranormal Nightmare. I did post it and share it, but it's on YouTube. They were right in the middle in I think it's Indiana that there was a massive tornado, and he had the camera filming it. It was terrifying to watch. Everybody was okay. Him and his daughter went around to check to make sure people were safe because I guess his neighbors are elderly. So, but I saw somebody that's in my Facebook friends. I don't know them well. We're just traveling same circles. He had posted he lost everything He just posted a picture of
Oh
us.
no.
It was terrible.
Yeah, here we didn't. Kings Mountain didn't get hit by a tornado, not that I know of. But they did hit up towards going towards Virginia, like in Charlotte, in Gastonia. I believe there are tornadoes in Charlotte, and they took out a lot of stuff. Fortunately, well, unfortunately, one death was recorded. It'd be better if there was none, but you know, it's what it is. But yeah, we were talking about the tree in my front yard.
Well, before we start, can I answer this question quickly from Kelly? She said, did
Yes.
Footies win? Yes, I announced it. Actually, I think, was it last week, the week before? I kept telling you guys where it was and to vote, and the most votes was for Footies. Go ahead, Dave, because I think it's interesting about your tree.
Oh my goodness. And then Howie says that, Howie Odell says, we are under tornado watch here in Richmond, Virginia at the moment. Make sure you go into your cellar. I don't care how many monsters are in there. You go down there in the cellar.
Actually, you know where Josh and his family hid out because they didn't have time? It came on that quickly. They hid in the closets upstairs.
Really? Yeah. You know, they do. Our storms here, how it went. Me and my mom were driving around. We drove over to my house here in Kings Mountain, which is about 20 minutes away from where they live on the highway. And we drove over here. I bought a patio chair or something like that. And I put it in back. She looked at my house, what I did to it lately. And then we got in the car. We were going to run down the road to one of these big grocery stores and get a salad. And then we decided it's looking a little dark. We just got into Gastonia, stopped at a General Dollar or some little store, and it hit. It went from complete daylight to almost complete darkness at like it was, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And then the storm hit, and we were stuck in a lot there, and it was moving. I mean, the car was literally just moving back and forth. Hail started hitting. Right after it ended, we pulled out of a lot. A transformer blew up right as we were going out. And so we watched all the sparks blow and everything. And then I came home and I was like, oh no. But my tree split. The way it split, it looks like it peeled. It's the weirdest thing. They came over to assess the damage at my house, and they said, that's really odd for a tree to do that. And it looked like it started to break, like it was going to hit the house, but like the wind blew it the opposite way, and it like peeled that way. And I said, you know what? I don't care what happened. It left my house.
That's what I said to you before we started. Like, sounds like it was divine intervention.
Yeah, you just let it go, and you just go, thank you so much. I'm okay. Make sure everybody else isn't,
So, I was doing the highs here, and I think it was Kathy Hanley Little who said, be safe, Howie. We mean that, or anybody else that's in dangerous weather right now. Let's say hi to everybody, Dave. So we got Julie Jean Bassett. We said hi to Diane Brighton. We've got Shannon Kerr, which means Sean is there. Sean's one of your big fans here. We've got Nicole Thomas Ryan, and she said she was driving in that storm. Howie Odell, I want to give him a shout out. He's got the Rift Nation Network. He's a big supporter of our network here. And so we've also been on Howie and Rhonda's show a couple of times, The Orion Effect. So be sure to check out some of his programming as well. We got Kathy Hanley Little. Shannon, you're hopping all over. Now Shannon's over on Facebook again. We got Joanna Childs, Ruth Cleaver. She says, hello, David, Lorilei, and Footies. Jackie Lane, Kelly, Marissa Burrell. And then, am I missing anybody, Dave? We got Michelle over in Australia. So she's going in Friday.
we got Diane, because Diane said hi to Mesh. Hello, Australia. Hello, anybody who is outside of this country or Lorelei's country. Welcome to the thing at the foot of the bed. We appreciate
I never even think about it as countries. It's, you know what? We have people from all over the world here. And I was telling this story to a friend of mine the other night in Australia, and I was saying to her, the strangest thing happened. Like I've mentioned before in my show on the Angel Rock, I don't always get to meet my guests. Like we talk by email, but to meet face to face just before we go live, because I have a friend that is kind of like a PR person for a publishing agency over in Wales. So he sends me always the best, awesomest guests, right? Yeah. So the guest, I think I might have said this before, this guy that came on, He's retired, and he was talking about near-death experiences. He'd never had one. He'd written a book, but he'd done a ton of research on it. And he was a lawyer. So, of course, I do my homework before someone comes on, and I'm thinking, oh, he's got dual citizenship, but he's been over in Australia for 40 years. Lo and behold, 2 minutes before we go live, his name was Douglas Hodson. Not only was he born in Thunder Bay. Well, it wasn't Thunder Bay when he was born. It was two different cities we amalgamated. But he lived here till he was 30. And then he's been over in Australia for almost 40 years. So what would be the chances? Because my city is not big. It's like 100,000, 110,000 people. So that's why I'm saying we are 6 degrees away from Kevin Bacon. Or Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, country schmuntry. I mean, we're just in different areas is all I look at it as.
Well, the internet, though, really makes us almost all in the same room. So hello, Roger Garza. We've not seen you in a long time. So I never worry about if I'm in Canada or the US or wherever, because I don't know. I end up talking to people from all over the world all the time. So I never look at it as two different countries. I don't know.
Yeah, I do too. I talk to people all over the place. I had a one of my readings this morning was they're out of Canada, and I had like, you know, with everything going wrong sometimes. If you're mediums or wanting to be a medium or that, Lorilei can attest to this. When you do a reading or when you perform, I won't say perform, but when you hook into that mindset, you really got to put your entire self behind. Like, nothing's ever happened to you. This is not about you. You just put yourself behind. And I thought when I had this reading this morning, because I was still upset about my tree and all this other stuff, I thought I'm going to have the crappiest reading. And I sat down, and it happened to be somebody that I gave a reading to 2 years ago, and she came back, and I don't know how I got so quiet, but it was one of the best dang readings that I've had. It was so good. I was like, oh my God, it was so effortless today.
Yeah, but sometimes, right? That's why what you said, it's not about us, and you have to be just clear. That's the same reason when I've grabbed a pendulum and shown you guys, if I can focus energy, we can make a pendulum move without moving it, just with energy, right? So when we do this, we do have to be open and clear.
Yeah, you guys. So actually, even if you're not a medium, make that a practice sometimes. When it's your time and it's all about you, then just sit there and let it be about you, and don't worry about anything else that's happening.
So I got to ask you this. So I didn't get a chance to ask you before. I never heard about this thing before, and it popped up in my YouTube feed, and it was with Popcorn Planet, and they talk about current, pop culture and what have you. And they were talking about this massive interview that Piers Morgan was doing. And they were talking about this new Netflix series called Baby Reindeer. Have you heard of it?
No.
Ooh, okay. That's why I brought it up, getting into spooky stuff. So what it is, there is this guy by the name of Donnie Dunn, okay, as the main character. And I'll try not to give too much away, but he works in a pub over, I think it's over in England. I think he's from Scotland originally. And this large woman comes in, not very attractive and much older than him. And she's crying, and she sits down at the bar, and this guy feels really bad for her. And he says, what would you like to have? And she says, nothing. And he said, well, you have to have something or you can't stay. And he goes, do you want a cup of tea? And she goes, no, I have no money. Meanwhile, she's bragging she's a lawyer. Red flag number one already, right? So he decides he's going to give her a cup of tea on the house. Long story short, and this is based on a true story, this woman is the monster of all stalkers. And he wrote a book, and that what this guy goes through, there are 7 episodes. And Michelle's going, Kelly's going, it's a good show. Michelle's going, and that's on a true story too, the reindeer show. Okay, well, you guys have to check out Piers Morgan after our show. He interviewed the woman that claims she was the character this show was based on. Oh my Lord. I watched it live and had so many thoughts about it. This woman was kind of like Amber Heard on the stand, like on steroids, and just like the most pathological liar you've ever seen. And she was coming on there to set the record straight. Like, and she was never outed in the story or the book or anything. And and she's going to sue Netflix, and she's going to sue oh my God. It's literally like the way I was watching this just before we went live, the discussion about it, and people were describing it, that it really was almost like watching a car crash. It was so painful to watch that interview, but you couldn't look away. And what this guy went through, it is a crazy story. Definitely viewer discretion advised, but it is mind-blowing. Like, this woman sent this guy over 3 years, I believe, over, oh God, don't quote me, I want to say 41,000 emails or 141,000, and like went after his family, went after anybody that knew it. She ruined his life. The police would not take him seriously. He almost lost his job. He lost where he lived. And she would sit outside his place, and the police would do nothing about, like, for hours in the freezing cold. Like, I won't give too much away, but it is a crazy story. So, like Michelle goes, like a train wreck. You have to keep watching. You do. Once you start it, you'll have to keep watching it. I binge watched it yesterday, like, because you got to find out, like, what is this about? But this woman has now put herself out in the public. It is like, and you know what? Like we always say in the paranormal world, sometimes real people are scarier than the paranormal.
I think real people are most of the time scarier than the paranormal. And you know what's really creepy about that, too, Lorilei, is like you said, it's based off a true story. And
well, she's claiming it's not true. Yeah. But
it's probably not as uncommon. It's probably
okay, but
not.
You know how Pierce Morgan is? Like, he's like a pit bull, right? Like, this woman got violent in the story, like really violent when she was called on her BS. So he didn't push her too hard, but he just asked a few questions, and she gave away, like she says, I didn't even really know him. I never sent him anything. And then she finally kind of changed her story after about 5 minutes, that she only sent him one letter. But I didn't know where he lived. Well, how did you mail someone a letter if you didn't know their, like this? It is literally just insane. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to throw that in there because
you didn't. That's what I was saying. No, that's what I was going to say. I mean, it's scary that, how these things actually do happen. They do. Yes.
And as a man, like he kept asking the police officer, like he kept saying, like, if I was a woman and this was being done to me, well, you're not a woman, so it doesn't matter. Like, this guy, like some of the things that, like, when you first see it, which is a really good lesson too, right? Not to judge people because we don't know where they've been. Even some of the stuff I was watching, I kept going like, dude, some of this stuff is your own fault. Like, I never said out loud, I was thinking it, hearing spirit saying, reserve judgment. And as you see his story play out, it becomes very clear why he did the things that he did. And because it's not just, there's a whole bunch of things that are compounding in his life. Talking about things going bad in your life. Like, this guy had everything going bad in his life that possibly could have. He wanted to be a comedian. Michelle goes, he was nice. Guess this is why people can be standoffish. Yeah, he was. I think he was very empathetic, but in a strange way, it was almost like nobody seemed to notice him because he was kind of a quiet type guy. He plays the lead, the guy that wrote the book. He plays the lead in the movie. And the acting in or not the movie, in the series, the acting in this is phenomenal, like phenomenal. And it's terrifying. It's quite the story, but scary with people. Definitely.
I tell you, I could go for, I'll have to watch something like that. I've been trying. The last week, or last Thursday when we were on, I have tried to watch scary movies. And because I never watch scary movies. You
watch more than me.
Probably. I did get myself, I was so bored because I am so weird when it comes to just sitting watching a movie. I have zero attention span for it. It is so funny. I don't understand.
No, I can't sit and watch a movie. I got to be doing something else while I'm watching something.
Oh yeah. Okay. And I sat on this chair and I made myself a pizza. It was in the afternoon because that's like, I'm not going to watch a scary movie at night just because.
By yourself?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't mind, but it's like I'll keep getting up and doing stuff. So I made a pizza. I sat down and I watched what was the name of the movie? Talk to Me. And Talk to Me was a movie that came out, I think, last year. And it's about these people have this hand. It's an arm. It's like this much of it. And it's like that. And it belonged apparently to a psychic or a medium or something. And it was cut off them. And if they put the hand on the table and you take your other hand and you hold on to it and you say, talk to me. And when you say that, a spirit appears in front of you. And if you welcome them in, then they can take over your body and give a message, but they can't stay for more than 90 seconds or they'll hurt you. But anyway, I started watching this. It came off interesting. And then as it went along, it got so gratuitous and so boring and so stupid. And I'm sorry for the people who made that movie. The acting was good, but the movie was awful. I did not like it at all. At all. I did, however, watch another movie I watched was Renfield. And Renfield is the servant to Dracula in some of the lores. And Renfield was hilariously funny. It was funny, it was gory, and it had Nicolas Cage playing Dracula. And it was a pretty good movie. It was kind of fun. You agreed? You saw that movie? I couldn't understand it.
Yeah, Shannon said the first one she agrees. It was a boring movie, and Kelly says I liked Renfield. It was great.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, Renfield was fun. I mean, it was like, if you watch Renfield looking for some kind of realness to it or anything realness on Dracula and all that, don't. It's literally purely for entertainment. That's you got to take it for that.
Yeah, but sometimes you need a movie like that. I want to say hi to a few people on Instagram here. I see David Hanzel there. Thank you, David. But this gentleman, I've seen him join quite a bit. Michael Alstein Burgeon, I see you. I just haven't had a chance to say hello to you, and thank you for joining. We also see Malik Nurjaman join too. So I hope you'll stay with us. If you want, head over to UFO Paranormal Radio and United Public. It's on Facebook if you want, or YouTube, or you can go to David's YouTube, The Spirit Experience, or my YouTube is The Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin, because then we can see your comments and you can interact with all our wonderful people in the chat here too. And Michelle says, Dave, that's you, LOL. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
They're talking about Nicolas Cage.
I played years ago. I was in musical theater. I know, really, go figure. And I was in a play called, oh my God, what was the name of it? It was called Dracula the Musical with a question mark. As Dracula the Musical? And I played Dracula, and there was a Renfield in that movie, and it was so funny. I mean, there was a funny play, but I love stuff like that. Just like I said, if you guys also want something fun to watch, is What We Do in the Shadows. What We Do in the Shadows is the best series I've ever seen.
Oh, I'm going to read this first before Julie Evans' comment. Michelle says, you said hi to Dave, and he said, oh, I was being facetious. I was joking. He knows I know. I see him on my Instagram. Julie says, I don't mind horror films, but don't like vampire films. I just don't usually watch scary movies. And the other thing I hate, even if I've seen them a million times, is suspense movies. Like, oh, you know what else I watched? I binged on? I finally did it. I've seen bits and pieces because the season number 4 is coming out in June. The Boys. And the reason why I watched The Boys is because much of the Supernatural cast is now migrating over there because it's Eric Kripke who started Supernatural. So my boy, I'm a Dean Winchester girl, and he plays Soldier Boy in The Boys, Jensen Ackles. And I see that John Winchester, what's his name? Jeffrey. Oh my, I just went blank. He plays John Winchester. He's been in all kinds of movies. He is now coming on for season 4, I hear. And they've got, again, if you guys watch Supernatural and you've watched The Boys, you know that the character Bobby Singer is named after one of the producers from Supernatural. Well, wouldn't you know, Bobby Singer from Supernatural is in as Robert Singer in The Boys, but they're not the same character. And there's still a Robert Singer that's a producer. It's like, what's with that name? Oh, Michelle said she was being funny too. Sorry, Michelle. Hi, Justin Curtis.
Hi, Justin. You know, I'm going to say one more thing, and I know we won't make this show about movies, but I will say, for anybody who's my age, which is like 16, 17, but if you're yeah, 16, 17 times like 5. There is a show by Jim Henson. And I watched this one the other day because for some reason I woke up and it was in my mind. So I had to go look it up and watch it. But there's a show called The Storyteller. And The Storyteller was with, who is the guy in Alien who got the alien popped up through his stomach? What's his name? Somebody here probably knows. John Hurt. I think it's John Hurt or something like that. Or the guy who played the Elephant Man, John Hurt. He plays the storyteller, and he's like an elf or whatever. And he tells these stories, all the cool stories, these weird ones. And there was a story that it was about a man he's telling. There's like all castle times, old castle times, and they have the Griffin and all these other ones. And it was this man who there's like gold up in a castle, but it was guarded by all these devils. It was guarded by all these devils and all this stuff. And he was a gambler, and he said he was going to go up there and play cards with the devils. And so the part that gets me is when he goes in there, he sits in there all day long waiting for the devil to come out to play cards. And all of a sudden it gets really dark and there's just the candlelight. And then like 8 of them just come out and go, and then he plays cards with them. And it's so funny. He's got this magical sack. But that is a really, really good show that shows a lot of like the old fairy tales, and they're brought to life.
I'll have to check it out. Yes, Julie Jean Bassett, you got it right. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. My brain just went completely blank because he is such a good actor. He's been in so many things. He played Negan in The Walking Dead. We actually had, I promise we won't go past any more TV shows than this. We got other stuff for you. But in The Walking Dead, we had quite the conversation because if you've watched it, and he played Negan. And I forget what Andrew's name character was. So I can see him, but he was the main character. He was the law enforcement, and he was running against all the zombies and stuff. And then the bad guy Negan comes in, played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And my partner Dell and I were discussing this, and we were saying, now imagine if the story had started and been told from the perspective of Negan, from Jeffrey Dean Morgan's perspective, and then switch it that the main character now walks into Negan's perspective. We would have a completely 180 position on because Negan was really bad. Like everybody wanted him to be unalived and get rid of him, and he was twisted and he was crooked, everybody thought. But was he really, or was he just really trying to Rick Grimes? Thank you, Rick. Yeah, Rick Grimes was the main character. So imagine if Rick Grimes came in where Negan did into the story, and the story was always about Negan. Right? It's all about perspective.
Yeah. Now let's talk about zombies for a minute.
I have some Skinwalker stuff too. So I tagged you.
Oh, okay. You got some Skinwalker. Okay, we'll do some Skinwalker stuff. But zombie things, I know a lot of people. I used to be fascinated with them. When I grew up, I watched like some of the original zombie movies where the zombies were really slow. And then the one movie that got me, and I don't remember, it was a remake of the old Walking Dead movie. And I went and I seen it on a date, but I remember the end of it was really disturbing because these are the slow zombies and all that. And yeah, when they got a hold of somebody, they, did bad stuff to them, whatever zombies do. But at the very end, they showed people. They had the zombies like hanging from a tree by their neck, and then people who weren't zombies were hitting them with clubs and all that, and they're doing all this. And the question came up. They said, "Who's the real monster in this?" Mm-hmm. And it's like, and it was true because the zombies that were slow walking weren't literally just going after people. It's just when people got in the way, it was a bad thing. But it made so much sense to me with zombies. Like if they were living things. I get so confused with zombies because there's so many zombie movies out there. Some of them are disturbing and I don't like them.
Zombies are dead though, and it's supposed to be a virus that reanimates them, from what I understand.
Yeah, that reanimates them.
There's
Yeah.
a worm out there. Get a load of this. I can't remember the name of it. It's long and black. It can go into pet water bowls and all kinds of stuff. But how it reproduces is it basically commandeers a cricket or grasshopper.
Oh yeah. It's a parasite.
Insides of the whole little insect and forces it to go over to the water, basically usually to a waterbed of some source, running water or slow running water, to lay the eggs, and then it dies once. And obviously the cricket was always done. It was done from the minute it had been connected with this thing. So it's basically animal zombieism is what they've been talking about.
Yeah, that does exist. Yeah, I'm not a big, I can tell you this. Well, in my wheelhouse or in my perspective, I don't think the whole zombie thing will ever happen in the way that the movies say it is. But I did like I loved Zombieland. I loved Zombieland.
I saw it, yeah.
Double Tap. I thought Double Tap was the second one was really good too. It was fun. I like fun zombie movies like that.
I've seen them, but then again, if we look at the premise of a zombie, that if you no longer are basically brain alive, but your body is in some way moving still, right? There could be other ways.
Our bodies can, because I've explained to people. Sometimes animals. And I don't want to cover your ears if you're really lighthearted. This isn't bad, but like if I remember one time I saw a squirrel got hit by a car and it was just flopping on the road, and I got so upset. I was sitting by the side, and I've done many meditation stuff since then, and I'm told, and from what I know, is that most times that squirrel left right before that tire hit, and what we're seeing is the animated body without the soul in it. And I asked, why are we still have to see that? And they said, because it brings compassion to people by seeing that. Some people, it stirs up emotion in people, and that's why it's supposed to be there for. But I don't know.
Well, I believe that it's not going to be like, if something like that ever happened, I'm not saying it is, but I don't think it's going to be like what we see in the movies either.
Yeah. Did you ever see Warm Bodies?
No, I've heard about it though.
Warm Bodies is anybody go watch Warm Bodies for a zombie movie. That movie will kick your butt with zombies, because this is about a person who was a zombie, a regular human, fell in love with that zombie, and that zombie remembered who they were a human and came out of being a zombie. It's just it's a fun movie.
Oh, I heard about that one and I wanted to see it. Now, the one that I can't remember that I saw, it was from the UK, and it was the guy that played, it was a Frodo or Bill, I can't remember, but he was in the Lord of the Rings series, and Martin is his first name, and it ended up being a zombie movie, but it was actually kind of funny, and it was kind of gory, and they ended up getting locked into a pub because the zombie virus hit.
That was oh my goodness gracious, those are the English guys.
I know. What was the name of that? Do you remember that?
I didn't even think about it. No, I seen it, and they also did.
And it was funny, but it was creepy too. And
does anybody remember that movie? Who's that? Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead.
Yes, that's what it was. That's a funny movie.
Shaun of the Dead kicks butt. Yeah.
Okay, so Julie's an animal communicator and shamanic practitioner, and she says, animals often leave their bodies prior to death. My dad left his body before he died as well. Well, you know what, though? And Dave and I have talked about this before. And then we're going to get to Nicole, because I did. She says, I watched the paranormal files she shared, and I did, leading into Skinwalker and stuff. But where was I going with this? I'm losing. Oh, you and I have talked about this many times. And having studied near-death experiences and looking at thousands, I haven't talked to every person that's had one. I have yet to run into a person that the soul is not gone before the physical trauma happens to the body.
Yeah, most every time. Yeah, I do know there are some people, for whatever their reasoning is, go through part of the trauma. I don't know why, but I'm in the same belief system as Julie Jean Bastet and you and everybody else. Is most animals are gone well before.
Well, I think people are too. I think people are too. And when we talked about this, unless I think you've built it into the particular lifetime that you want to feel the experience of feeling the discomfort or pain of passing away. We've talked about this many times, because we talked about the guy with the parachuting that you contacted, and everybody leaves before the actual moment, unless again you've contracted to experience that final experience.
Yeah, I think the only time most of them, from what I know and from the ones I've talked to, the ones who did experience the pain usually ended up not dying, because of the fact that was part of the spirit. They had to go through and feel that pain because they decided to stay or not leave or whatever. So the physical body goes through some pain. But yeah, most people, animals. But I don't like to tell people that, because I don't want people to run around and just hit squirrels going, oh, or they're going to leave their body anyway. No, don't do that. That's still not a good thing to do.
I don't think anybody would do that. And if they do, they've definitely got bigger issues. And
yeah, they do.
They do. I'm sorry.
If you do that, don't watch our show.
Like Diane, you said you found yourself floating over your body. Yes, but did you feel the pain of leaving your body? And some people have had some very traumatic exits. And I've even looked into it. Again, I don't know all the answers, but you'll talk to people who have had near-death experiences, or even from the other side, and they'll talk about, because you'll get, say somebody passes away very tragically and very violently, and a family member isn't there, and they torment themselves about what they went through and what have you. I know it brings a lot of comfort to people, if they're able to connect with somebody that's able to give them a message from the other side, because most people aren't there to experience the pain. Some might be. We design our own experience, but most don't. You may see your body or whatever.
Yeah, the only thing that I've ever come across in like my mediumship readings is sometimes, okay, today, the woman that I spoke to, I feel their stuff, and it's not like I kind of feel it, like I kind of think I feel it. I mean, I literally feel it as if it's happening to me sometimes.
Well, not all the time. Tap into what the physical body felt, because as a medium, it helps the person identify with who we're connecting with, so they may know why they passed away for a certain reason, right? That could happen, definitely.
This woman she had some major stomach issues that took her out, and she hit me with one, and I was like, holy cow. I said, okay. Because the girl goes, is she still feeling it? I'm like, oh gosh, no. I had to explain. I said that she only did that to me for a moment. Heart attacks, I'll do that every once in a while. I'll feel pressure and all that. But and I'll ask, and I always ask spirits too. I'm like, so did it hurt when you left? I always ask them, and they're like, and most of them are like, no, said it was so quick, and he said we don't focus on the ending, so we don't remember the pain.
Well, like Julie Jean Bassett shared, this is a shamanic practice I learned in my training called the Little Death, or in French it's Petite Mort. And it says where the client can experience leaving their body, it helps them helps relieve the fear of death.
Yeah. It's to anybody listening out there, if I can help you from a near-death experience or myself and from being a medium, you've done this a million times before. It is not difficult. And it's easy.
Most people say, especially when you do talk to NDEers, I was a little one when it happened, so I get flashes and things of it, but I don't have as clear of a memory as you do. But I've heard many people describe it who've had an NDE. It's as easy as going to sleep.
Yeah, it is. It's like getting out of one chair and going to sit in another. It's just all so easy. Yeah, it's easy. It wasn't confusing either.
So, Nicole, Thomas Ryan says, I watch Paranormal Files you shared. I do want to give a shout out. I checked out Instagram. I got Scully Star Fashions joined in. I hope you'll join the conversation with us. We're glad to have everybody here with us tonight. Actually, we're at the hour, so I always forget to do this, so I guess I should do it. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to UFO Paranormal Radio and United Public Radio Network on 105.3 out of Mississippi on FM, as well as 107.7 out of New Orleans. And I'm one of your hosts, Lorilei Potvin. This is my amazing friend and co-host, David Hanzel. We're doing the thing at the foot of the bed. So Nicole Thomas, hi, Sandra Sharp. Roger says, I've experienced that when I went to the other side. I don't know if he's talking about what Julie said. So Nicole Thomas Ryan says, I watched the Paranormal Files you shared. And I know you've had your hands more than full, Dave, with what you went through with your weather. But I shared the Paranormal Files that were, it's kind of like a live, it's pre-recorded, but everybody that's part of the film is usually in the chat and everybody watches the premiere live. And this was a little different because it wasn't an investigation. What it was Colin Brown is lead investigator of the Paranormal Files. And I've talked about him before. He investigates with his dad, Papa Spooks, his brother-in-law, Connor, and sometimes his mom comes along, Mary, or we call her Mama Spooks. And he had said, so I want to make sure I get the name right. He had said that while they were getting into the next bit of filming, he wanted to stop by because we're going through Arizona and he wanted to visit his friend. His friend's name, I want to make sure I say it properly, is Sean Clem, I think. And he is a guardian for the Navajo. And it was a very interesting, if you get a chance to watch it, it's posted from Tuesday night over in our group on the thing at the foot of the bed, because a lot of interesting things happened. And it was very intriguing to hear what Sean Clem talked about being, was that you, Dave? Did you talk? Did you talk, Dave? No? I just heard a guy's voice. Anyways, he had said he talked about what it was like to be a guardian and his brother too for the Navajo. He talked about what skinwalkers were. But I ended up doing a bit of research into him. So he does have a YouTube channel. I'm going to find it for you guys here. Hang on. Give me one sec. It is called Sean Clem. I got to find it on here. Sorry. I have his other YouTube channel. He started about 8 months ago, the Sean Clem, and it's a new YouTube channel. I think they're at 80,000 people already. But he's teaching people about the ways of the Navajo and how to tell, for example, let me just find him here. Where are you? Did I get the right channel? I think I did. So yeah, Sean Clem Shadow Productions, it's called, and it's SHANCLEN and then Shadow Productions. I believe it's tagged in the group anyways. So he had some interesting videos in there that I looked at. Some of them, he was talking about what a skinwalker is, but the beauty in what they were talking about, now you may agree or disagree, I don't know, but he was talking about, for example, how to tell the difference between a good and a negative spirit, somebody with something with negative energy, if you will. I'm not saying it's a demon. I'm just saying there's good and negative on both sides, good and bad. So I thought it was really interesting because he showed pictures, and some of the pictures that he showed, looking at it, the first thing most people would say is, oh my gosh, that's evil. It has to be evil, has to be evil. Talk to you about how to do that. They call the skinwalkers the Anasazi. But what really blew my mind is that he ended up, they used to investigate together. I think it's called The Edge of the Supernatural with his brother, Hero, Sean Clem. And then they had another gentleman usually that would come and film with them and stuff. And they went on an investigation with the Anasazi. And the beauty in it all, and I don't think these guys are faking it, you guys, they go back to the old ways and they put subtitles so you can hear the songs they sing and the offerings. But when they go in there, even if there's something perceived to be negative, even if it's a skinwalker, is they go in and they ask, how can we help you? We'd like to give you, bless you, basically, offer aid. Yeah. And at the end of it, that was so beautiful. Okay, there were skinwalkers there and there was much more. Is They didn't go in there to kick anybody's butt. It was basically live and let live. This is their home. This is their territory. They basically went in to settle down the energy. But the reason why I believe in them, there were all kinds of lights coming out of nowhere in the black. The wind was picking up like crazy. Sean Clan, I believe it was, picked up on the spirit of a hawk that had been sacrificed in that area because people were doing things they shouldn't have been in these areas in Arizona where the Navajo were from. And literally, as he said, I sent a spirit of a hawk. Not more than 30 seconds later, this big ass hawk goes flying by the camera. Like there was crazy stuff going on. The wind was picking up. There had been no wind. This was all at night. So check their channel out. But what I liked about it was he did a lot of teaching about the difference between what a skinwalker is, different types of spirits, and he really encompassed people's belief systems and possibly their religions, and encouraging people to learn about it. I didn't agree with everything he said, but I agreed with a lot. Definitely about soul eaters.
From what you said, and this is my take, and some people might not like it, and if you don't like it, that's fine. You can have your own version. That's totally cool. But what you said about the territory, and this is their place, I've often thought a million times, okay, now I'm not talking about a family who calls up some people and says, hey, our kids are getting disturbed, come look at my house. That's different. If you are just going to investigate a house and you walk into that house and you hear get out, right away you can't, it's stupid to sit there and go, it's a demon, it's telling me to get out. No, maybe just leave. What if it came into your house? Would you not go get out?
I've agreed.
So I mean, like I do agree with that respect. If you walk in someplace and it's negative there, well, then you have no business being there. If
you're not negative places, though, and what I loved about it, Bobby Mackey's is notorious for severe paranormal activity. It's been called the portal to hell, if you will, and it's actually being torn down very soon. Actually, they went there a couple of years ago. The way they even handled that investigation was so cool. Even if it was negative that they encountered, there was no fear, there was no disrespect, there was no going in to try and rile them all up. It was, hey, how can we help? Can we bring some of our medicine to you if you need help? Or how can we help you? And I just really love the belief system and what they were sharing, because I don't think it just applies to the ways of the Navajo. It would be beautiful to see the rest of the world looking at this and even seeing what they're sharing with the rest of the world. Instead of having Mr. Tight T-shirt wearing gentlemen showing the world that everything's a demon, and we go in and we yell at it and we provoke it and we go in to kick butt, really how to treat with respect and to offer assistance and help, and learning how to use your senses, for example, to tell the difference between something that may look scary, but instead of using your eyes, go into your intuition and see what you feel. It was a really cool exercise he provided.
Whenever I used to do an investigation, or even if I go into houses now, or even if something is in my house, because there's always shit in my house, and that's okay. There's nothing hurtful. But the first thing I do when I enter that, my first words all the time are, hi, I'm David. That is my first words. Every time. I don't even care if somebody goes, if you go in there, there's been, somebody killed their entire family, and then they're in here and they possess people and this, that, and everything. I'm like, okay, cool. I will go in there and go, hi, I'm David. I want to know why you're doing that, if that's what you're doing. I want to know, like, do you need some help? Do you want some help? And if you don't want any help, my butt will go right back out this door and you enjoy your haunting. But if you need something, I'm here. I'm listening. You know, that's what I do. I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it.
So Julie said yes, and Diane Brighton said I used to bring gifts for the dead. Roger said I got a lot of those spirits. Now, the one thing I can agree with, it's a new concept I'd never heard of before, and we don't know all the answers.
No, we don't.
So, but what they were talking about was they had a different take on earthbound spirits, and exactly kind of what Diane Brighton said, especially if spirits don't know they were dead. And what he was talking about was how people that are going through, it's coming to the end of their life and they start talking about, they see their mother or their husband that's passed away or wife or whatever it may be. And he was teaching that, they're not losing their mind. They're kind of starting to transition into the other world, and one foot in the earthly realm, one in the other. But he was talking about those that pass away very tragically or very quickly, or as he felt, before their time. And what I didn't agree with, but it's part of his teaching and his belief system, is he had said, well, that way the family on the other side would not know if you'd passed before your time. I don't believe that, because I believe that if you're on the other side, you can be in a gazillion different places and you kind of know. But what he was talking about that was intriguing, this is the only thing I had a hard time reconciling with, but it was an interesting concept. They felt they have encountered soul eaters, as he called them. And he said what the soul eaters are there for is to make sure that there's not too many spirits wandering the earth, that they feast upon them. So he said, for example, say if somebody passed away, this is his example, not mine, and you suddenly find yourself and you're like, where am I? What just happened? And you see this beast down the street from you and it's beginning to chase you. The first thing you're going to do is run for refuge. So maybe you're going to run into a house or something. And he was talking about not every house, but most houses have some type of talisman, depending on your belief system or whatever. So this was his thoughts and their belief system, that the soul eaters then wouldn't be able to enter the refuge or the house. So the soul stays there, the spirit stays there because it's afraid to leave. And he said, otherwise the soul eaters go around and eat up all the extra souls, and this is how they feed themselves. So that I couldn't quite reconcile with, but pretty well everything else I could. I definitely could.
I don't reconcile with the soul eater thing, but you know what? That's their thing. If that's how they need to see it. I always wondered though, half the time when we put words to something, sometimes I think when we put words to it, it's not matching up with that person's actually thinking about it, how they're actually seeing it. That's just the words they're using for it.
Well, what I liked was, though, the respect about mind, body, spirit, and animals. So I want to say hi to Linda Falvo Miller. This is one of my very good friends I have not seen in eons. Grew up with and lives in Florida. So she popped in. So I want to say hello. We got some good comments. One thing I did not want to pass over, Julie Evans shared, a friend passed on Saturday. She had a big dose of morphine in the hospital before, was still a bit distressed. And I can tell you, having worked in palliative care quite a bit, it is very distressing to watch and to see, to go through. So I express my deepest sympathies and condolences. I know David does too. I know he's going to say it as soon as I stop talking, but I just wanted to say that. But you need to realize again that may have been the physical body, and the physical body goes through a lot of changes and a lot of transitions before it leaves this life. And it's very difficult for families to sit and watch this. It's hard for us as nurses to see it and watch it. But I guarantee you, because especially as a medium, a good portion of those people, not everybody, but a good portion, like we talked about, have already left, the soul's left the body, or it's like a physical reaction to what's going on with the medication, because they're able to tell us from the other side that, and they hear you still. Many have come through, and I know David's going to say this too. So thank you for what you said to them before they left, or that you held their hand, or you were there. And they may not have seemed like they were there, but they were. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry, I know you went.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're absolutely correct. Is as far as, just so I can help you, I know it is distressing for that, and you have to put somebody on morphine and all that. I will tell you this from what and because I lived the experience in a sense. When I was in the hospital, I mean, my feet were 2 elephant feet. I had tubes sticking in my throat, this and that. Sometimes when I was coming out, they said I would sit up, I would scream. My moms and dad would cry when they looked at me because they said I looked like I was in so much pain. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember any of that, and I never felt any of that. That's only what they were seeing from their end. It is, our process, whatever we do, however we go, whatever we do is ours. It's very personal. I think that death is a very personal thing because it's going to be how you are perceiving things at the time. Everybody else is always going to have a perception of it, and that's okay. But yeah, I am so sorry that happened. It's very difficult. It really is. But no, I can tell you honestly, I am sure that person was absolutely fine. I don't believe in an all-knowing, all-loving being would let anybody suffer.
I agree. And like I said, I very rarely have met on the other side or within your death experience research that when somebody is able to share their experience coming back, that again, it's worse for a family member to have to sit there and witness it, or for, I just heard a yeah. Did you just hear a yeah?
Yes, I did.
I don't know who that was, but thank you. So somebody just came through. I don't know if you guys heard it, but when I said it's very difficult for a family member to sit and watch that, it was a male voice that said, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. We've had a couple EVPs tonight. But it, like David, like he shared his experience with you, and he wasn't in that physical state, if you will, as a soul form. You were able to travel and move. I'm going to share this comment from Julie because this is really cool. She goes, I have a friend that has tea with death. And often after someone passes, she has a meal with a death, and that goes to the person that passed to thank them for carrying the soul to the afterlife.
That's beautiful.
That's really cool.
Hi,
Gwen Patterson. I have not. Oh my gosh, it's like a home week. I haven't seen Linda Falvo in forever. You know Gwen. She's from the Voldemort group.
Oh my God. Speaking of Voldemort group, I was going through it and I don't know why all of a sudden YouTube put that woman on my algorithm. And started showing me videos, and I was like, not interested.
Like block.
And you know what? After all these years, I don't hold any hate for them because of the fact we met through that group, and I've met other people through that group, and I've met some crappy people through that group. But you know what? I always say everything happens for the reason.
Good things that came out of it. There were good things that came out of it.
There was.
So Shannon shares, as a nurse, I truly believe nobody will pass away if they're in pain. I believe in using pain meds to keep a patient comfortable enough, which will allow them to pass 100%. Yeah. But let's also add not just physical pain, emotional and spiritual pain as well. And I talked a little bit about this, I think, on Monday night, that I've seen many a person in palliative care. You know, all the physical signs are there that we see as nurses, that we know the ending is near, and the person is not leaving, and they're staying, and it's literally like they're hanging on. And it's usually they're waiting for something, or maybe it's a person that's set to arrive or something like that. But they, I had another friend that went through this, and it was somebody that was like a father to them. I think I talked about this again on Monday. And they were on a ventilator their whole life, and they were coming to the end of their life. And it's not like on TV where you hear them say, we're going to pull the plug. Shannon will know this. And they don't pull a plug. They extubate, it's called. But, a doctor the family will say, well, how long? And they'll say, well, maybe just a few minutes. I can't tell you how many people that have been extubated that don't leave right away. And this happened with a friend of mine's uncle. And she was asking me, well, they said it was just going to be a few minutes. And they explained to her that we have free will in life as we do in death. That's between him and you want to call it source, you want to call it God, you want to call whoever, when he's ready to leave. And I think what it was, he was waiting for her sister to show up too. Sometimes people have whispered also in their loved ones, it's okay to go. I'm going to be okay without you. Whatever it may be, there's many reasons why somebody may not be willing to let go right away. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Roger has asked, is there a society of people who have had near-death experiences? There's lots of groups out there. There have been forever. I don't join a lot of those groups on Facebook. I had a couple of them, but I found that let's just say there were people who were in there who
We talked about this, yeah.
we're giving information that shouldn't be there. But yeah, there's plenty of people. There's actually, I think there's a meetup where people from
There's
all
IONS, International Association for
That's
Experiences. Roger, or anybody else who's interested, I had met this lady. I'd watched her story on YouTube, Barbara Causey Bartolome, I think her name is. She's in San Diego, I believe. And I was so touched by her story, I reached out. And she had agreed to come on the Angel Rock, and then we each got busy. She was super busy. It was about 2 years later, and I'm going through messages, and I'm going, who is this lady? And I look, oh my gosh, I was supposed to have her on my show. So I reached out to her, and I believe it was last year she came on, maybe a year and a half ago. And she runs IONS in, I think it's San Diego or San Francisco. She had a fascinating story, really lovely lady. So, but David is absolutely right. There are all kinds of organizations.
And I found them helpful. I've talked to, I think, though, out of all the people I spoke to, there was some stuff about my NDE that I thought I'm the only one, because I've never heard anybody talk about it until I was talking about this guy one time that another friend introduced me to, and I started telling about stuff, and his eyes just opened up. He goes, nobody, he said, I've been telling people that and nobody's believing me. And I said, no, I saw the same thing. So there is some, I mean, for the most part, I always say that death, like I said, death is a very personal experience. I mean, the seeing the light and all that stuff for me is, for how, in my thoughts, how I think of it is, it's there and it's happening, yes, but the reason it's there is so we understand that for some people to understand the transition. Because even like what Julia said before, sometimes you said it's because they are afraid of death or afraid of the unknown. And I've talked to many spirits that said, yeah, when they first got there, they were confused because they were told all this terrible things. And they're like, what? I'm fine. What's up? So they had to figure it out. So that does happen. But I'm a strong believer too, that no matter how it is, eventually you remember and you know where to go at some point in eternity or moment or time, or however you want to put it. So I think you're okay. So we're not here to tell anybody to be afraid of anything, and don't ever think that somebody's being. I had to make a TikTok the other day because somebody was writing me all these things about how a medium was telling them because their son was mentally ill that he wasn't able to cross over and all this other stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, people, would you stop telling people stupid stuff like that? That is not true. There is no mental illness when you leave here. There is belief system, but there isn't mental illness.
No, but Julie is right when she says a lot of times it is because they're afraid of the unknown. Or fear
that's the belief system. Yeah, that's belief system. Oh, yeah, your belief systems are there.
I have found, and I've talked to other mediums too, is sometimes people who choose to, we'll just say, unalive themselves for whatever reason. There is no judgment. It could be fear of what's, there's religious dogma that may actually keep them earthbound. Or I have found when I connect with them, because you are in a lot of pain, obviously, to be in that situation, to unalive yourself. And I'm saying it for YouTube terms. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. So I found sometimes that people need to go into almost like a really deep healing to get connected back to who they really are in a soul form and start healing. Because, it's not physical pain, it's emotional, usually spiritual trauma. There's all kinds of things. So that's what I have found.
Well, the reason that you get your limbs back or your missing body parts is because you don't have a body when you leave here.
Well, body,
but that's what I tell people too. I always tell people, no matter what happens to your physical body here, when you go back, your physical body is fine, or your perceived physical body is fine. Because I remember kind of my etheric body that I was in, I guess, because you could say if I look down, like, because I was still aware, like as if I could look down or look to the right or look to the left, but everything, you could also look 360. But when I looked down, there was nothing there. Although the spirits who came to get me were etheric bodies. And then I saw myself when I was walking one time, and I looked down, and I remember seeing it looked like if you're looking through something sheer, like almost
You know
invisible.
what? Okay, one thing I do want to, it's like old home week tonight, you guys. I'm so glad all these people are dropping. We got Joanna, Garfy, McNally. Haven't seen you in forever. So nice to see you. Very welcome. So what I was going to add to that, this really helped me as a nurse understand what we've all heard when somebody has had an amputation with phantom limb pain,
Yeah.
which is very, very much a real thing, because we have an etheric body besides the physical body. So even though the physical is still gone, the etheric body is there, and it explains why the pain would be there. And it makes so much sense to me.
Because it's energy yet. So I understand it. I mean, I totally get that concept myself. Isn't it fascinating? And
I
guess
never can understand it because doctors try and explain it. And it was almost like spirit showed me and explained it when we got into the etheric body and stuff. And it was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense now. Hello, Kasoon. I should have said hi. Sorry, I'm popping through here. So we never know where we're going to go with these conversations, you guys. Yeah. So Diane says they look the same. Sorry, we got new comments here. Yet not young. That's not true. Hey, Jonathan Keyworth, because I have to tell you, just from my own personal experience, and I know David is going to tell you very similar, is sometimes they will appear just as the way they looked when they passed when we're doing a reading. So the person might recognize them, but I can tell you more times than not, if I'm going to see somebody in spirit form, they are going to show me what they look like when they felt the most amazingly beautiful, healthy, wonderful. And I'll tell a quick story, Dave. I'm going to tell a quick story. I was talking to somebody that's a friend of my partner, and their mom had passed away years before. I'd never met their mom. I could see their mom, and I started describing them, and they said, actually, you kind of look a bit like my mom. You kind of remind me of her. That's when my hair was dark, not purple. And I said, okay, but so she sent me a picture, and I go, no. And I described the outfit, and I go, was your mom's hair longer? Because I'm seeing it like halfway down her back. Sure enough, that's how she was. She loved to wear her hair like that. But as the kid started having kids, she kept cutting it shorter and shorter. But it was one of the times when she was the healthiest, most happiest in her life. Go ahead, Dave. I know you got lots to add.
No, I was going to say, no, that's true. And you know what? I think too, I've come to realize over the years, it really depends on the mechanics of the actual medium as well. Because, I mean, that's a good way to put, like a lot of mediums will say, when they see a young person, they right away go, oh, that's my symbol for they're coming in as they look great and they feel great. And that's part of the personality trait. And then there's stuff like me, I used to do that, but it stopped. And I don't know why it stopped. And all of a sudden, now I don't. I used to try to look for the young person, and I used to see the old person. It would confuse me why I would see the old person. But then I realized I just kind of tell spirits, I don't know, you just take the lead, man. However you want to show
Roger
yourself.
says the same. He says, because Roger's a medium at their best time, best age, best looks. Diane Brighton said, my experience is similar to when they passed, yet improved. See, so you know what it is? Okay, we're all different. We all perceive and pick up differently. All of us are capable of this. Yep. But the thing is, right, spirit knows best what will work best with us. And David kind of lined it up right there, right? You know what your symbol is for you. You know what works best for you versus, say, for myself or someone else, right? And now Julie gave us a really interesting thing. She said, could it also be they have reincarnated and are showing their new self? I've have that happen with pets before. I haven't run into that, but you never know. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, Julie's correct. I haven't had it happen exactly like that, but I understand because for me, animal communication is for me, it's different than people communication. And I don't know why. The animals, when they come in, I always feel amazing when they come in. Like with people, they'll come in with like the pain or stuff so you can describe them or how they died and all that. Well, the animals come in and I can just feel like I usually see a shadow run across me, and that's how I know it's an animal. But I saw the animal, like you said, how they would show their reincarnated self. I've had animals show me themselves as they are on the other side, which like some of them will go like, I was a cat when I was there, but that's not my natural state.
Mhm.
And I would see that natural state and be like, oh, so you've been like a cat, a horse, you've been a giant cat, a small cat, a dog. But they do tend to come into me, whoever the person I'm reading for, they're going to usually show themselves how, so I can describe
For
them.
me, learning this, my problem was listening to too many people about how it works for them. So it's a good lesson about what I said. Each of us are different and how we receive messages.
That's all it is. Yeah.
No, but for me with animals, you're right. You get into such a wonderful state of love and peace and joy because animals are unconditional beings, right? Of nothing but love. But for me, right now, the way it's working anyways, I need to pay attention to a lot of physical stuff, to smell, to taste. And I do this with human beings too. But I'm very clairaudient. So sometimes I'll hear it. Sometimes they'll send me a picture. You never know. It's just
you never know. Yeah. I got to the point I used to just use one clair. Years ago, I just kind of use one clair. Now I just sit here and go, just give me what you got. Yeah, I give it. Kasoon said.
Wait, I want to answer this question. If that's okay. Or we'll do Kasoon first because I have something.
Yeah, because this is the easy one. Kasoon had said, in animals like a newborn baby, no baggage. That's absolutely
100%. Good call, Dave. I want to answer this, and then I know Dave's going to throw this in. So Shannon asked, do children who pass away grow up on the other side? So there is somebody that I have followed, and her name is Jamie Butler. She used to work with Channeling Eric with Elisa Medhus. She now does her own thing. It's on YouTube. She does a lot of teaching. But the most fascinating thing is she channels two of her spirit guides. One is Grace with very calm, stately English accent. And then she channels Maitland. And Maitland comes in as a 6-year-old little girl. And I have watched a couple of the videos where Maitland explains why she comes through as a child on the other side. Now, to me, you have free will on the other side, just as you do here. So I believe, yes, I guess you could grow up, but there's no time on the other side. I think you can take whatever form you want to take, because even though you're a child coming into this lifetime, as a spirit, you're not a child. You could very much have had hundreds of thousands of lives. So does that make sense? I don't know if you can add more to that, Dave, but I'm guessing you can.
I agree. There's a big thing. I know some people will say, oh, if you pass away as a child, then you finish growing up on the other side, so on and so forth. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This is my personal belief system. If that soul needs to continue to grow up in order to fulfill something, it's going to grow up in some other realm or some other thing. It might not even go. We might, everybody thinks that when we go here, we have to go from here straight to heaven. And that's not completely true. You can leave here and you'll go through your, physical death here. But when you're in that between state, you can be going, oh, I'm not finished with something. And you can decide right in that moment to step into another life because everything is continuous going on. So I do believe that if somebody chooses to grow up, they could.
Like Maitland, and you guys can look it up. I will try and write that down and post it.
And sometimes, and though too, we have to look at how, as far as channeling goes, like some of the spirits that I talk to, I can tell you one thing. When I can see my guides, one of my guides looks a certain age and the other one looks a certain age. And the angels that I talk to, they're ageless, but they look certain ages. And I've never asked them why, but I did have a guide tell me this. They said the reason that I come to you like this is because from where you are in your shoes, you consider my age as authoritative. So you listen to me differently when I show you this and when I show you that. And to me, I'm like, that makes absolute sense.
That's exactly what I've been told, Dave, is that, and the same thing. When I've seen angels, they don't have wings, but they've been shown to us as human beings that they have wings. So my rule of thumb is anything that is of love and light from the other side, should you interact with it, is never going to scare you, is never going to make you feel uncomfortable,
Nope.
right? Because they're coming from nothing but love. So I agree 100% with what David just said about a spirit on the other side, 100%. And spirit is also going to appear to you in a form that will best be able to affect you in the way of exactly what David said, that for you, you realize that, yeah, you are going to take the authority better from the way they
Yeah,
appear.
from the way they present him. Yeah, and even like one of my guides, the way he shows himself to me and the way I see him, there's a girl named Kristen Taylor, and the podcast is called How I Made It Through. I did a whole bunch of them last summer for her, and my guide, she wanted to talk to my guide on these ones, and my guide described one of the times when he was here, but because how I see him. And she had asked me later on, does my guide always look like that? And I said, no, I'm just seeing one of a billion personas of this person. But you know what? It's all the same energy coming. It's just in different forms. I mean, it's literally, to me, I kind of look at it this way. We're constantly just putting on costumes.
That's exactly what it is. I want to say, everybody I know tonight is popping in here. So this is one of my cousins, one of my gazillion cousins on the Potvin side, Carol Dagana. She says, my infant son was a stillbirth 2 years before my girls. My daughter, that is 20, she told me the other night she met him in a dream and that he was happy she was born, that he was glad the next 3 girls were born. I was so glad she shared this dream to me as they are 2 years apart. Carol, thank you for sharing that. That's really beautiful.
I've had children come through who didn't stay for whatever reason with the mom, and the mom, that wasn't even in the reading, and I would just be sitting there with the mom going, do you know the little boy who's on the other side? He said, I'm so sorry. And she's like, wait, how did you know that? And I'll be like, I'm sorry, I don't have to talk about it. She's like, no, I want to hear. Every time they you know, the cutest things that they always tell me is, could you please tell my mom that she's still my mom, even though I'm not there? And I'm like, yeah. And mom always goes, really? I'm like, yeah, you have another child. That's still your child. Absolutely.
There's this, like, I really am fascinated by children that have had near-death experiences or can remember their past lives. And there was one story, I think it was from The Ghost Inside My Child, which I think is a terrible name for that series when it was on. But there's a boy that was about 3.5, and you guys can look this up. There's so many children that have said, I had a different mom before you. They'll talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
This little boy, these parents had this little boy. He was their whole world. She had miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage. And this little boy, when he was about 3.5, if I remember it correctly, he said something to the effect of, Mommy, I'm so glad I was brave enough this time to come and be here and have you as my mom. And she said, what do you mean? And he knew nothing about the miscarriages. And he kept saying, I'm so sorry I wasn't brave enough. I finally was brave enough to come. And he was basically able to explain to her in the way a 3.5-year-old would, that he would go through part of the pregnancy and he changed his mind. He just couldn't do it. And then the miscarriage would happen. And then the miscarriage would happen. Now, this is out of the mouth of a baby, like a babe. So I thought it was such a cool story from a little one.
Well, I've heard stories like that. I mean, I cannot tell you, I'll be totally honest. I do not know all the mechanics, obviously, of everything. But
none of us do. Hey, we got Jody Madela here tonight. It's Voldemort home week tonight too. Hi, Jody Madela.
Oh wow, these are all Voldemort people.
All Voldemorts. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Voldemorts.
You're not Voldemort. You come from the Voldemort group, the group that shall not be named.
Yeah. They come from Slytherin, but they're
Oh, yes. So I thought this was cool too. Like Diane said, my dad comes in different outfits depending on the problem he's assisting with. I think that's cool.
That Diane, that makes perfect sense, because I will have spirits come in sometimes. I'll have them come in because sometimes I can see them really well. And sometimes they're more in the distance, but I'll have them come in sometimes, and I won't see I'll see like the hair and the face a little bit, the arms, but their clothes, they'll be wearing something standoutish, one of my favorites was I had somebody come through, it was a white shirt and it had stripes on it. I'm not sure, but that I knew it meant something. We could not figure it out, but I said, take it with you. I'm waiting to hear back from the lady. But it's odd that a spirit, if they show up, it's almost like they highlight that piece of clothing. So I would say, check a picture or check something like that, because sometimes they're showing me their picture, because I've had them do that.
You know what the biggest shock, because mediumship came in later for me with some of my gifts. And
Hi, Roger.
it was like literally learning a new language, because again, I'm very clairaudient, which means no, I don't hear voices, but I hear within the mind's eye space a lot. And my other senses of clairs, if you will, yes, I can use those, but I feel like that's my strongest. But with mediumship, you're right. Like, sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you taste something, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just see a color or feeling or a smell.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes they'll come and then they'll send you a picture, and then they'll like you just got to pay attention to your whole body like a lightning rod.
Yep. I used to get so frustrated because I'll have like a couple days of readings where it's like every spirit they came in, I could tell you they had dark hair, it was cut in a bob, they had a mole right to the right side of their nose, and they had blue eyes. And then all of a sudden, a couple days later, it's like, I have no clue what they look like, but I know what they did and I know how they did.
Yeah.
It just depends on how the information comes in.
Faye Ewing says she's with Roger. Roger had to take off because he's doing a reading. So thanks for joining us. But Faye said, hi, Lorilei. Hi, David. Hi, everyone. We're now the footies. For those you, everybody voted on the footies. So that's what we're calling you guys, the footies. You guys chose. She says, great discussion.
Hey, Kevin.
I was just getting there. Z-Sun Dragon. He says, hi, all. Glad you're here. And we got to share this from Nicole. She says, you want to read it, Dave?
Yeah, it says a 4-year-old in my class talks to the trees on our playground and tells me what they say. She tells me so many things, and I know she is getting things from the other side. She's probably getting them from the trees too, because I swear to God,
trees. Yeah, from the trees.
You might think that I'm crazy, but I have talked to the forest before, and I've gotten answers back, and it's been validated.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that
that's why I didn't get into those guys. Okay, the guys I was talking about, the Navajo Guardians. Okay, they were. I'm in the middle of a video right now. They're dealing with water spirits. The reason why I love the Chronicles of Narnia, and I've read it all, because I don't know what drugs that guy was on when he was doing it, C.S. Lewis, because there's been talk of that, right? But there was a lot of religious references, but there was a lot to do with nature spirits, with tree spirits, with spirits of the land, with water spirits, with the dryads and the naiads and the fae, and it was pretty interesting.
And even even with shamans and stuff like that. Shamans have been talking. I mean, that's how shamans, they weren't just medicine men. Shamans
our resident shaman.
I studied shamanism for years and years and years, and I love shamanism. But shamans also, they could find water. They spoke to the directions. They spoke to the east, to the north, to the south. They spoke to the trees. They spoke to the land. They found out when the rain was coming. They could predict all these things by having those conversations. So I think that all those things can be. I mean, I believe there's proof. People out there probably think I'm crazy, and that's cool. But there's really cool stuff.
Julie says she has to go because it's 1:30 over in the UK. So thank you for joining us. Have a good night.
Bye, Julie.
Anna Breitenbach, I think her name is. She is an animal communicator and phenomenal. I strongly encourage to watch a documentary on what she did with an animal. I was a black puma, I believe, or leopard named Diablo, and the communication that came in, and it is a fascinating story. If you look into her history and interviews about how she came from the corporate world from South Africa, working in big finance over in the US, and how she became an animal communicator. And it is fascinating because it gets into exactly what you're talking about, connecting with the land, getting into the history and actually the energy of how the First Nations people were able to track a hunt, even over in Africa as well, find water when there was none, and tune into those senses and energy. It's mind-blowing. I was going to read Jody's comment, if that's okay.
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
It's a nice story she shared. She said, well, out of tragedy, she said, I had 3 miscarriages before my children were born. I was told that my son, who I never named, watched over my daughter. When she was little, she would be holding someone's hand and talking to someone all the time. I finally have named him. And she said, hi, how are you doing? Oh, Jody, that's a beautiful story to
I
share.
love that. I don't see why we shouldn't name stuff.
Why not? Yeah. I always was told since I was a little girl that I would have 3 little boys. I have 2. I had a miscarriage when I was 50, turning 50. And we thought it would have been a girl. And when I was going through mediumship classes and stuff and how it was done, I worked with a mentor out of Los Angeles. And so a student would get on the phone, I get on the phone, we wouldn't see each other. You get to talk for 30 seconds and you'd have to read each other. I can't tell you how many of those students would picked up a little boy. They described him, what he looked like, the whole bit. I know that was my 3rd boy. They told me my Justin was coming as my middle child, Justin Michael. And that is what
I don't know. I don't know what, I mean, I don't want to, we won't get into it because we're getting to the end of the show, but sometimes I think to myself, what do some people think happens to children who don't make it? What do they, and my dad's side of the family, because they're Catholic, and they said if you don't baptize a child, it goes to hell. And I'm like, what? What? This is crazy. What kind of, well, I guess that's your belief system and I can't change it. You can do what they want, but I'm like, what a terrible belief system to have.
But then you go back to what you believe becomes what you perceive and it becomes your reality. And that came from spirit for me, right? So if
but then when you die, you know the ultimate truth.
Yes, but imagine if you believe that, right? And our minds are pretty powerful.
Yeah, they are. Oh no, there's people who literally believe that, and I get it. But I wish, I think all spirits, from my near death, everyone's connected. Every time you talk to somebody, you're literally talking to a version of yourself. So
and what you do to others, you do to yourself, believe it or not.
And every time you talk, and whenever you talk to somebody, you are the one who's making up their personality. They're not just giving it to you. You're going to see them how you are. And you can prove that by saying, I can know one person and I'll say, Larry, did you meet Larry? Larry's such a great guy. I love talking to Larry. Larry just makes me laugh. And then Larry's dad can walk up and go, what? Larry's a jerk. He's lazy. He's an ass. He doesn't like anybody. It's like, well, no, that's your perception of Larry. I know Larry differently. Because
well, you know what? Turning that around, because I think that's important, is you know how you'll hear somebody talk about other people. That's my number 1 rule. If I meet someone and they're talking about someone behind their back, I know they're going to be talking about me.
Yeah.
The other thing is, though, people will tell you, oh, so-and-so is this and so-and-so is that and so-and-so, really awful things. And I literally just try to visualize clear because I choose to make my own mind up about the experience I have with the person versus based on somebody else's experience or perception of who that person is. So I try to always have someone come with a clean slate is what I'm saying.
Growing up, even when I'm younger and I look back, if I look back at my life earlier, like from even my review, but even when I look at that, I did the same thing. Somebody would say, that person's a jerk. And right away, I wouldn't even know they were a jerk. I would just start telling everybody that too. They're a jerk. That's how I was like when I was like 15, 16 years old. I was a jerk.
Yeah, but that comes with maturity and growing. Like
I know that's what I mean.
This way when I was young, it's as I've gotten old.
I'm saying, I think we teach people that, and some people just never changed. Is all it is.
Well, Kassoon says true shamans fascinate him. He says they go out of time and space and see everything from a timeless perspective. I am telling you, I have had one of the most profound experiences with Julie Jean Bassett in a healing session. It was mind-blowing. You guys got to check her out, Julie Jean Bassett.
Why? Because shamans have a foot in both worlds.
Well, Sonia Roy, who I had on, and she's coming on in July on the Angel Rock. She's got a new book coming out about narcissism. She is a Canadian shaman. She does Reiki. She used to be a Royal Canadian Mounted Police officer for many years. And now she's got healing centers around Canada, a big one in Drumheller in Alberta. go there. She goes around the world. They're going to Peru, I think, in November. And anybody that wants to join them can. They obviously have to pay their own way. They have quite the healing and spiritual experiences all around the world. But yeah, sometimes I'm telling you, I like the way you described that with a shaman, one foot in both worlds. Diane, you know what? I think that's a beautiful thing. She said, I named a few wee children as a social worker that had to be buried. And I think that's a beautiful gift you gave them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do too. If we bury animals, I tend to give them names. All the stray cats that I used to take care of in my yard, I named each and every one of them. And even the ones
I know you did.
that were sick, I named them all. And I still have all their pictures and I still know all their names.
Oh, David, you love them so much. You really did.
I love animals. It almost hurts so much.
So do
I know you do too.
I have this nest outside here, and it's the perfect spot. It's in the drain pipe outside my window. I can barely see it. And these two little chickadees. I even left them some dog fur to make the nest warm. They've built up this beautiful nest, but I think they get it so big and it's not tucked in enough. It keeps falling down, and I'm hoping that I keep thinking, how could I put something up there for them? But then I guess it would smell like me, and then I'm intervening, right? But it just breaks my heart because I said, you guys, it's a perfect spot. It's protected from the rain. It's up against the cement or the brick, so it's warm. You got takeout at the bottom because I have bird feeders for them. So I'm hoping that we get to see some baby birds this summer.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, anybody who's out there listening and is a fan of the show, if you ever run across an animal in need, just help them out. Even if you can't adopt it or can't do something, at least help them out for that moment. I always say, just make it a little bit easier.
Oh, so Michelle Wilfong says, hi, you're just catching the end, but you guys don't ever forget. We've got a few minutes, not many, about 2 or 3 minutes left. If you're just tuning in, there's always a replay. Always on Facebook, on YouTube, anywhere where podcasts and talk radio are carried, like even the most obscure apps, you can find our shows and the network on there. So you never have to worry about that. I love this. So Kassoon said, Dave, I mean, you nailed it. They have their foot in both sides. Mm-hmm. Nicole says, if we name an animal, it was meant to be in your life. I like that. Yep. That's beautiful. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
it's about time to go, isn't it?
It is. Hang on, I'm just making sure we're not missing anything. I know Nicole Thomas Ryan, you are helping 10 cats that a homeless lady has. I know you've done a lot out there, and it's a beautiful gift. You know what, guys? Being kind and being able to help somebody else if you can. Even just a smile or hold open a door, or if you can help animals, anybody out there, and share a little bit of joy and happiness and love with others, believe me, it'll be a bigger gift to yourself than the gift that you share with them. So try and do that. Random acts of kindness are a good thing, right, Dave?
Yes. Anytime. Remember, in this world, in this life, whatever you put out does come back to you, good or bad. So that's just, if you can remember that, you can have a pretty cool life.
You can. Yes. This is the fastest 2 hours besides Monday.
I didn't have any interruptions tonight either.
We got to check those EVPs. That was the coolest one we've ever had with answering us. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you guys, if you would like to get a hold of me, know more about me, book a reading or any of that stuff, I only do that through my website, theywhispertome.com. I never, ever solicit readings in PMs, or in DMs, neither does Lorilei. Also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel because I do a lot of lives on TikTok, but I'm also going to be doing more lives on my YouTube channel because TikTok's been annoying me.
And if you go live on YouTube, I'll join you because I can go live on my YouTube too. We can help each other out. Maybe.
Yeah, because I want to be, because my thing is, you guys, what I want to do on YouTube now is have like special guests who are like friends of mine and have like weird conversations about what we do and do a few readings and have some fun and just shoot the crap. And I want to just make spirituality just a lot more accessible to people and not so, not so I know that I click on so many YouTube videos from people and I listen to it and I'm like, normal people don't understand what you're talking about. You're going to have to dumb it down for some people. But anyway, otherwise,
go ahead. Sorry.
Otherwise, our Facebook group is called The Thing at the Foot of the Bed. Please join that. We post our videos on there. If you have stories, you can post them in there, pictures, anything you would like. And then I'll take it right on over to Laura.
Sorry, I always have a bit of a delay, and I tried. That's why I stopped. Christopher James, you asked a big question right at the end. So maybe if you guys remind us, we can talk about that next week. He wants to know, how could I develop my other clairs, which I was told is possible. It is possible. Remind us. I'll try and write that down. We could probably talk about that next week, right, Dave?
Yes, yes.
We can't.
And if you follow me on TikTok at Medium David Hanzel, spelled just like that, no slashes, no numbers. I do a lot of videos about that stuff.
Yes, and I also have some teaching videos. Yeah. If you scroll down under the video section on the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin on YouTube, I do have some teaching videos. But David is very much right, and he answers a lot of questions on his TikTok. So check it out. He's got some great free content on there as well. So you guys stay tuned. If you guys are enjoying what you've been seeing tonight, we have the second night of the Outer Realm with the amazing Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. And guess what? A little birdie told me it was Michelle's birthday yesterday. So you guys might want to pop in and wish her happy birthday. Also, we love that you're all here. I was so happy to see all these people I haven't seen in a long time. So thanks for everybody tuning in. We love to have you here. You guys make our show. If you ever want to get a hold of me, easiest way, believe it or not, is on Facebook Messenger. It's the quickest, but I'm available on all social media platforms. I do have a business page, facebook.com/The Angel Rock. But there have been people, I won't name them, call them out. They're here tonight, but they even got a hold of me on the Wix app, because I do have a website, but it so needs to be revamped, you guys. But I'm signed up with that. I'm signed up with the app. Also, I have two groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and the Angel Rocker Tribe for all things spiritual. I will be back Monday night with the Angel Rock, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to say it's Alfred Labramont Weber. Let me check you guys quickly, because he is an interesting guy. Let me tell you, I've never had him on. He's a friend of mine. I got to check for you guys. Let me see. Oh, no, you know who we're having on? Alfred's on the 20th. We're having Carol Obley. A lot of you don't know who she is. She was on the first year I was here, so that was 4 years ago. She's an awesome author. She's so much fun. You guys are going to love her. Hi, Janie. Oh, I haven't seen you either. Anyways, we love y'all. You guys have a great night. We send y'all so much love and light. Stay spooky. Right, Dave?
Yep, and join our group on Facebook. The Thing
join
at the
our
Foot
group.
Of the Bed.
We're over 100 now.
After 200 people, we're going to do some live readings. And by the way, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern, or 7 or 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night, I go live on TikTok on Friday night. Okay.
There you go. Okay, what are you ready? Are we going to do it? Are we going to try it again?
Let's try it. 1, 2, 3. What's at the foot of your bed? Oh,
one of these nights, you guys. One of these nights, we're going to get it right on, even with my delay. Anyways,
10 years from now, we're going to get it.
We love y'all. Stay tuned, you guys, and we'll see you next week. Okay, take care. Have a good one.